Morning, Patriots. Shoestring here. Some time ago, I made a promise that I would give a review of the Thunderbolt Solar 500 watt charge controller that I got from Harbor Freight. And it's item number 68738. Not that anyone will need that, but there it is. It says it will handle up to 500 watts to charge. All right, let's look at this. First thing we want to notice right out of the box, it is a little different than what I expected because it is a Thunderbolt. Thunderbolts have standard connections, such as these connections right here. Another example, right there, charge. Should be able to take it, plug it into the charge controller, and hook it straight to your batteries. But in this case, it does not work that way. So if you want a Thunderbolt charge controller that will work directly with your Thunderbolt other items, this is not what to get. This will not work. Now I do know, because I researched it, that Harbor Freight sells a 100-watt solar panel kit. In that kit, they have a charge controller that looks something like this, but it does have the proper connection right up here. So depending on what you want to do, you may want to consider that. But just remember, in this situation, this one will not take the standard Thunderbolt connection. So what we will have to do here is make a connection work. In this case, what I do, I have cut and stripped the wires. And this way, they'll be able to fit inside. But before we do that, let's talk about it a moment. Down at the bottom, you can see there are connections. All right. The first has a picture of a solar panel. So the solar panel connections will go on that one. In the middle has a picture of a battery. That is where the battery connection will go. And that's the one we're going to use today. The last one is the load, if you actually want to run something from the charge controller, which we won't be using. In fact, I actually never use this, even though I know some people do. So let's look at what we have to do. There are holes, little entryways, where the wires fit. First one says plus, which will be the red, positive. One next to it, of course, is negative, and it has a negative symbol there that shows the black goes in there. So let's go ahead and do that. See that? I've taken the little circles that were connected to this, that goes to another charge controller, and I've stripped them so we can fit it into the charge controller. Tighten it down. We put the red into the positive. Then, of course, after we get the red one in, we do the same thing with the black one in the negative. Slide that in real simply. And like we did with the red, we just crank it down. Make sure it's in there real nice and tight. Red to the positive with the plus, black to the negative with the minus. The wires are now connected, and now we'll take a look at it and see if the charge controller will actually work. We do that by connecting it to our battery. Keeping safety first in mind, we connect the negative first. Then we connect the positive to our battery. All right, so we have made the connection. Let's check the charge controller. Charge controller shows 12.7, jumping between 12.7 and 12.6 volts. Hopefully you can see that. That means the battery is fully charged, and the charge controller is in fact working. Now, let's take a look what else it will do. Let's take a look at these buttons. Now, these buttons I've pushed before. You have to give it takes some pushing. It takes a little play. So, we'll push it. And it shows a sun and the battery. It also shows 0 amps. That's how much amps are going into the charge controller. Now, I don't have any solar panels connected, so no power is going in the charge controller, so that's why we have 0. But the sun is there to show you what it's supposed to do. Next, and this only has 3. Next shows the battery and a little light bulb. What it means there is how much power is being put into the load, which of course I'm not using today. And then it goes back to its regular 12.6 volts, or whatever your reading is. Now there is the red button over here. It's simply a light bulb, just lights everything up, and it turns off and on the load, if you have a load over there. Okay, so that is the basic overview and review of the Thunderbolt 500 watt charge controller. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments. If you like this, of course, click like and subscribe if you have not already. Shoestring out.